Welcome to Quicklearninsports. Today, we are excited to feature an inspiring changemaker at the forefront of grassroots football in India, Minlun Sat. As the founder of the Tribal Football Foundation, Minlun brings his background in sports management, content creation, and on-ground coaching to empower underprivileged youth through football. Driven by his passion for both the game and community development, Minlun has pioneered initiatives that connect young talent from rural areas with professional training, opportunities, and meaningful pathways in sport. So under his leadership, Tribal Football Foundation isn't just about honing football skills, but it's more about building confidence, fostering inclusion, and transforming lives through the beautiful game. So let's hear it out from Minlun himself. Milun, welcome to the this show, and thank you for making the time. Really excited to speak with you. Before we talk about your foundation, it will be great if you can tell us about yourself and about your initial connectivity with football game.
Hi, Siddharth. Thank you for getting me on the show. I normally don't do this, so I'm a little nervous. But yeah, just a brief about me. Grew up in Bangalore, played football till college, and then had to quit because of injuries and things like that. But football's always been there in terms of just the passion. Never thought that I would be able to, get on the sidelines of it. But um, so Bangalore, learned how to start an academy, learned how to run a football, club,
Right.
and then moved to Delhi as an operations manager for a different company. But
Hmm.
um, I kind of saw a loophole in terms of where the coaching uh,
Hmm.
was going towards in Delhi NCR, and so I started doing small stints of coaching, personal coaching here and there.
Right.
And then that sort of became a movement, honestly. But right after lockdown,
Hmm.
I had a couple of international students who were in town and heard about me. So we set up a place for them to come train with me. And
Right.
that's how the coaching side of,
Yeah.
my personal coaching side started.
Okay.
And then
So.
so right after COVID, decided, okay, you know what?
Hmm.
Why not set up a whole training center?
Training.
So
Yeah.
I don't like calling us as an academy. For me, it's more of a training center where we want to work with players who are, looking to take their game to the next level. So
Great.
2020, right after COVID,
Hmm.
that's when we,
Right.
started old tribal football training center.
So we'll come to your coaching, this journey as well. We'll come to the foundation as well. But I want to understand, like, why football? What was the first kick that you had with the football, and you realized, okay, this is a great game, and this is doing wonders for you. So what was that moment for you?
So this is something I don't normally tell people. So going on air and saying this, but I'm an orphan too, and
Mm,
a lady was like loving enough to sort of take me into her home, give
mm,
me a place, and
mm,
that's where the whole got to know about sports. And
mm,
so being originally born in the Northeast Manipur and then moving
mm,
to Bangalore and then being adopted by somebody.
mm,
Um, at a young age is you're coming into a whole new world.
right.
But my initial passion was, well, the initial game I played was cricket, because
Mm,
down south you
yeah,
didn't really know much
everyone
about
plays.
football. Everybody played cricket, and it's easily accessible because you don't
Yeah,
need much.
yeah.
um but yeah, I think somewhere around the sixth, seventh, eighth grade is when
Mm,
I started picking up the sport in school, because that became an easier access again.
right.
So for us back then, it was whatever was available, basically. But to kind of figured out, okay, I'm good at this game. I can run. I've got
Mm,
these technical abilities. I didn't have formal coaching, so a lot
mm,
of it was just playing and kind of,
and learning.
learning it on the
Mm,
go.
mm,
And the other good thing was that because you could play the game in the rain,
mm,
that the
mm.
love for it just,
Yeah,
you just get that whole different feeling when you
right.
don't have to run back into a shed because the ground's going to get watery. But I think through the years, especially in college, is when I really, really picked it up. And I was like, okay, this is what, because I was the only guy from, so college in Bangalore, you have 3 years. So normally it's usually the third year guys who are, in the team. The first year guys are kind of you're trying to make your way and, make friends with the seniors and see who can get you in. But for me, talent-wise, I got in. I think I was only one of the only
Mm.
few first years who, got into the team. And that's when I was like, okay, this is a sport that I can really,
Right.
pick up. And back then, Bangalore still, like Bangalore now has got a really great system. Back then,
Mm.
they did have a pretty good system, not at the level it is now.
Mm.
But I was like, okay, if I can make it through college, play 3 years, then maybe I can then go and play division football. And of course, by the time I finished college, life as well as, injuries, I couldn't keep up to that promise. But or that hope. But yeah, I think through the years, and one thing we miss in this generation is kids being able to just go outside and play in the rain.
True.
And I think that has been something I've heard a lot of pundits talk about it too. That street football style,
Yes.
getting wet, mud on your face, slight tackling and not worrying about, how dirty you get. I think that's missing so much. And for me,
Mm.
that is where a lot of this love for the game came because you could just be free.
Yeah.
And um, so yeah,
So
that was a major, major part of why I love this game.
that's a beautiful journey, I think. And what you share is very important insight that you had a tough childhood, I'm sure. And thanks to the lady who bring you home, gave you everything. But football was one of the major motivation which made you happy, which pushed you towards what you are right now. So that's very interesting. And what I think the other interesting point that you mentioned, that cricket, we can't play cricket in rainy season, and football you have the luxury to play in any season. So that is a differentiating factor, that why more and more kids should choose football. And it's again, another point is, I think it's very economical. So thank you for sharing those insights. I hope few people who are watching this may learn this lesson from this your story. Now, coming back to your professional career, you went to college, you played football, you had injuries, then what happened? How did the next steps shape up?
Well, after that, after college, it was, see, the ISL had just come around,
Yeah. So
and
we are talking
all of us,
2014.
yeah, so all of us, those who just graduated, I think 12, 13, you heard about what was ha going to happen. And
Hmm.
then, the big buzz that Bangalore was getting this ISL club and
Hmm.
so and so. Um, and I was like, okay, maybe I can, sort of get back. I was 1 year done with college and then just entered the corporate job. So, you see, for me, it was two things. It was either, pursue football and sort of figure out, life as well. Um, Coming in, yes, I was adopted and all of those things, but that could only go so much
Right.
with Indian laws and everything. By the time you're 18, you know,
Yeah.
they've got restrictions and stuff of, where you can stay. So, it was a big decision because for me, it was like either I don't. Yeah. So, yeah, so right after college, it was basically get a job
Yeah.
because needed the money. Um, and so I had to put, the football goals in, on the hindsight because it was about putting food on the table.
Right.
And then eventually, couldn't pick the game back up. Too much injury. There were too many injuries along the way as well,
Hmm.
and life just took a completely different turn. So went into corporate world. Back then, just getting a job was a great thing.
Hmm.
So you know, did a couple of content writing stints here and there with different companies.
Right.
But that love for the sport was always there, and a mentor of mine came back down to Bangalore and said, "Hey, planning to start a club, you want to be part of it, and just out it." And so that's how I got pulled back to football. But I always thought, okay, since I had to give it up because I was like, okay, I got to get a job and put food on the table, see where the corporate side of things goes. That was what I was always headed, see what we can, what's the next job, what's the next pay going to be like. But yeah, my mentor pulled me back in, and that's how my journey back into football, started again. And it was something totally unexpected. I didn't think about it at all. And coaching was never on, you know, it was never part of the plan. So to be doing what I'm doing today is honestly a big surprise.
So, coaching was never the plan, but how did you like? All understand like how difficult coaching is in India because there is no good remuneration for this, and coaching is very tough for anyone, whether it is any field. So, how did you go through that particular journey? What was that process? What was that phase that you went through?
Um, so me getting into coaching, I started that in Delhi.
Hmm.
So it was so and a lot of research, a lot of just studying what was missing because the company I was working with, we were running football leagues in Delhi,
Hmm.
and I saw a lot of talented kids, but standing on the sidelines, being an operations manager, running this, looking at how the coaches were sort of setting up the teams or just individual players, and then conversation with parents on the sidelines. I just learned a couple of things that were sort of missing. And, like in India, we don't focus on the individual development of a player.
Hmm.
You're always looking at how the team is developing. So
Hmm.
there's always, because the abroad setup is you have teams, but you're also focused on individual parts. So
Right.
even your professional players have to do individual training once or twice a week,
Right.
just get their, basic skills and just stay in touch with, you know, just the basics of football.
Right.
And I saw that missing. And
Hmm.
so my journey into coaching started with trying to fill that gap. And so I took one student on and I said, okay, let me see. Because I was like, I don't have as football, you never have patience to be a coach. That's what
Hmm.
I learned initially.
Hmm.
And so, sorry. And that's where I started with one student. And I was like, let me see how this goes. And I just enjoyed the process. And I was like, okay, I might actually be good at this.
Hmm.
But it was hours and hours of just teaching myself
Hmm.
lots of videos, lots of listening to different coaches and how they set up and what they did in terms of, how
Hmm.
would they set up. And I'm researching not just on, Premier League coaches or your, major national team coaches. I was looking at these personal tutors or, people on YouTube or people that I knew that were doing, coaching and how they were setting up, their sessions and in terms of what they were focusing. Because if you look at all the coaches, whether you go online, you can go on Instagram today, you can go on YouTube, every single one of them has one specific sort of focus that they do.
Hmm. Okay.
And so for me, that was it. So I was like, okay, if I want to tap into this one aspect, which is the individual development of a player
Right.
rather than the team. And so that's how my coaching journey started, was looking at one specific place. And it's that's why I told you at the start, my whole setup isn't an academy.
Hmm.
It's more of a training center. And
Right.
so for me, the love of getting into coaching started with that one player, me deciding to take it on, see how I felt about it, honestly.
Hmm.
But I think it's the best decision I've made, because I've learned a lot,
Right.
but also I've been able to sort of tackle an area which
Hmm.
nobody really looked at and said, okay, this is what we're missing.
Hmm.
And so yeah, so that's how my coaching journey started.
And how many kids have you trained until now?
Oh, since trying, I would say close to about 100 students. Like,
Wow.
so we've got so there two parts. So we
Right.
started off as a tribal football training center.
Right.
So that's where I was doing a lot of, small group sessions. And with time, as we grew, what we decided to do was, okay, we're getting the kids to do these one-on-one sessions with me. And, 50% of my kids were going abroad, or they were already abroad, they were coming back to India,
Hmm.
and they wanted to stay in touch. So understanding the geography where they were coming from, the style of football they were coming from, that was an important part. So then we moved towards, okay, so because they're training with me, I need to give them, a team to sort of play with.
Right.
And that's where we were like, okay, can we kind of put all of these players together and just play matches?
Hmm.
Because we didn't want to go and recruit people up from outside and say, okay, come play for us. Because like I said, it was never about um, progressing the name of
Hmm.
tribal football. It was
Right.
about the individual development. So that's how we moved from, okay, just training to matches and
Hmm.
the experience of it, and then using that to sort of get back onto the training pitch and say, okay, you did, now we try and, you know,
Yeah.
fix it, or
Yeah.
change it, or add the creative part of it. So,
Got it. A quite interesting journey that you had, and I am sure those 100 kids are lucky to have you as a coach who thinks so much and has a thoughtful session. So I think that's very great approach. Now let's come back to to your foundation. You said you set up a academy first. Now you are focusing on the foundation. So what is the core value of your foundation? You mentioned that you had a lot of struggles, and I'm sure you still have few. Was that the core reason that you tried to set up this foundation and to uplift more and more kids, or is there another story behind?
um, so the foundation was birthed out of the idea of giving back to the community. And that's something my adopted mom's, I think that comes from her, because
Hmm.
she blessed me.
Hmm.
Um, and that's something, it's not an obligation,
Hmm.
but I think it's sort of how she raised me
Yeah.
was, you've been blessed. Now it's your turn to go and be a blessing to other people. So what, for me, it was, okay, we're doing these one-on-ones. Great. We've got a community of people that's behind us.
Hmm.
The kids, the families that we were coaching, they were
Hmm.
behind us. And
Hmm.
and I was like, it's time to give back to the community. And we weren't big. We're not like major, racking in the, insane amount of revenue, or
Yeah.
all of those things. But for me, the idea of giving back to community has always been there because of my adopted mom. And I was like, why can't we do this? I've already got the space,
Yeah.
and why not just, get some kids and let's see what we can do. And so reached out to a friend. We went to play a friendly, reached out to a friend,
Hmm.
and there's a place in Gurgaon which is called Kadarpur in Sector 63, and we saw a couple of kids there, and he said, "Hey, these kids really need somebody to sort of coach them. They don't have the money." And I was like, "Hey, listen, I've been thinking about doing something for the community. So is there a way they can come to my training center? They
Hmm.
don't have to pay anything."
Hmm.
And um, so it was trying to bring two worlds together,
Hmm.
the world of where we had kids who were paying us, or who
Hmm.
were paying me to coach them, but
Right.
also to kind of teach them there's a whole other side of society that
True.
needs our help.
Right.
And so it wasn't just for me, it was also just, for my kids to sort of see and be like, okay, you know, coach is here doing this, and he's, now willing to work with, these kids. So kind of teaching them also that, we've all been blessed.
Right.
Just a small bit of, community outreach isn't a
Hmm.
big deal.
Yeah.
And so that's how it started. And so for about a year and a half, it was, well wishers, donors, and also just some of the money that we made out of, coaching the kids, that we put back into sponsoring about 15 kids. And then we were able to sort of help these kids get some cycles so that they could, travel the
Yeah.
5 kilometers that they needed to come. We got them jerseys, football boots, and all of this. Like I said, it was a community outreach, because we had parents, we had well-wishers who were like, "Hey, we want to come support you doing this." And otherwise, I don't think it would have lasted long, to be
Yeah.
honest. So I have to give a lot of credit to the parents and the well-wishers that we had. And so we just ran with it for about a year and a half. And of course, the financial restraints started hitting me really hard because um, we like the COVID time got over. We got these kids, and now we're sort of still staying niche in the market. Like I said, we didn't
Yeah.
want to become an academy with 100 kids and
Yeah.
200 kids losing the quality of working with the kids individually. So, um, but again, because it was a community driven initiative, the parents were like, hey, don't stop it. Why don't you register it?
Mm.
And we'll, get the registration, get it legit, and then we'll reach out to people. We'll be here with you, every step of the way. And so I was like, okay, you know what? Giving up on something that I'm so passionate about is not me. And no matter how much the struggle is, and then to have a system behind you with people who are older than you
Yeah.
who are supporting you, saying, "Hey, don't give it up. Why don't you take it, get it registered, and then we'll see where we can go with it." And so that was the option: either shut it down completely and just focus on working with the kids, or like take a risk and jump deeper into the water. So that's what I did. And so we finally got it registered. We became a completely government recognized foundation November last year, after running with it for about a year and a half, 2 years. And so now we've just got our 12A certification. Um, we're waiting on our ATG. But through this whole process, we've been stopped.
Mm.
So we've actually added on students. We initially working with 15 kids. Now we have about 55 plus kids. So we've got two centers, one in Gurgaon, one in Delhi. Our Delhi center is a bigger one.
Mm.
We've got about 35 kids over there.
Mm.
And so yeah, I think it was a leap of faith. It was also the
Yeah.
faith that
Yeah.
the community had in terms of supporting, and that's how I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not giving up on
Mm.
this part of it.
Yeah.
Since we've come all this way and already started this, might as well, get
Mm.
it. So now we're completely, that's why we named it the Tribal Football Foundation, because it was an extension of just what we were already doing. And
Yeah. Uh,
and I didn't want to let the kids go. So
yeah. I think that's quite interesting journey of keeping it alive, because I have seen challenges with a lot of players, coaches, and academies throughout this country, and it's very hard. Like, I can imagine your pain, but keeping it up is the toughest thing, and you kept it alive. So congratulations on that, and you will get definitely better rewards in coming future. However, in those challenging times for human, there is always one ray of hope which keeps you alive, right? So, what was that particular story that keeps you alive for every, that keeps you hopeful for every day for this organization or for your passion? So, there must be something, right?
I think for me, it's two things. One is the lessons that I've learned, and also just my story and where I came from.
Hmm.
And if my adopted mom had given up on me,
Yeah.
right, I wouldn't be here sitting and talking with you. I don't know where my life would be going. So that was a major thing. And that was my conversation with my friends. And I was like, I've started this. Yes, we're not registered, but we've started pouring into the lives of these kids. And if we stop now, where do they go?
Right.
You know? So I think that was a major part of it because,
Yeah.
and you, for me, it's about relationship. So I built that relationship. And if my adopted mom didn't, well, I call her mom. So if she didn't, um, stick around with me, I
True.
don't think I would have learned that valuable lesson in life. And the second part of it was the community we've built with all
It's
of
very
our
strong.
academy kids. Yeah. And the the parents that have stuck by me, and for them to, step up and say, hey, you know what, let's do this. We're here to help, and don't give
Hmm.
up. So you
Yeah.
need those two things to kind of Are we structurally? Absolutely. Are we at times trying to figure out how we the ground rent, so that the
Yeah,
kids don't stop training?
yeah,
Absolutely. But if you hold on to the see, when people ask me why you started the foundation, I give them this one reason. Because somebody was willing to have faith and willing to put their love, their time into my life
right.
is why I'm here. And they were like, "Oh, you're starting a foundation. It's a way to make money." I like, trust me, you're not making money, right?
They don't know
So
the reality of
yeah,
Indian
you're not
sport.
making money. So and so when people ask me like, how do you stick with this and what you're doing, don't you think it's easier to just go sit in a corporate job? Yes, it is. And sometimes you have no
Yeah,
idea. In all honesty, I do think about it. But if you're in it for the money, then you're not going to last very long.
yeah,
But if you're in it because you trying to, I wouldn't say change the life of people because honestly, I feel like that's so cliche that everybody says. But if you're willing to build a relationship with,
yeah,
kids and young adults that are coming up and you want to see them succeed and give them the platform to succeed, I think that's what's going to keep you going because it's tough to run a
yeah.
foundation. It's
That's
tough
true.
to kind of because you're worried about the safety of the kids, you're
Yeah,
worried about where the next finances are going to come from. How do you keep it going? Are you going to become a laughing stock in the community
yeah,
because you came up with this whole, oh, I'm going to support all of these kids, and then now you don't have the funds to, so now you have to shut, shop. But I just think if you know why you're doing it, and
yeah,
then it's worth keeping it going.
yeah.
So that was for me, those were the two major pillars. So
Yeah.
and
Thank
that's
you.
why we
Yeah.
do.
I think thanks for mentioning these pillars. This is very strong lessons for anyone who is trying out their way in sports. There has to be backing because there are a lot of people who move, who go out of their way without any backing, and they struggle a lot in the ecosystem. So it's great to see that you already had two strong pillars, your mom and your community, and I'm sure you will get more pillars further moving ahead, and you do well. Now, coming to a specific question, and this is very specific to the young footballers and athletes. What are the challenges that you see in current football players, and maybe a few story or maybe a few insight on how do you as a foundation or academy, you help them overcome those obstacles or challenges?
Overcoming obstacles,
First,
I'll
let's
answer
talk
that
about the
last. Yeah.
obstacles. Yeah.
So um so I'll give you four things. Okay. And I'm sure if I ask you this question, I'm sure you won't have an answer either, because I get asked this all the time. What is the scouting system in India?
Scouting
Okay,
system
before
is, yeah, I have,
non-existent, right?
I
I
think,
mean, you,
yeah, there are now players who are coming into scouting, but that's fundamental question that I have been asking for over the years with to a
yeah.
lot of people.
No,
But
no.
you are right.
There is trials,
Yeah,
okay? There
yeah,
is scouting camps,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And but if you actually go to, like, let's say if I go to an ISL club and say,
yeah,
hey, what is your scouting philosophy, or like who are your scouts? Do they go around? Not because Europe, you've got,
yeah.
a team of 10 scouts from one club,
Right.
all every day they have to go to different areas of
Yeah,
the country.
yeah,
So before even getting to that part of it is you have kids showing up for training, some amazingly talented kids, right? So now the first part, biggest hurdle is age fraud.
yeah.
Um, you are trying to raise a bunch of footballers to believe that the system is there for you.
Mm.
And then you take them for a tournament and they're like, coach, these guys are way bigger than us. There is no way these guys are, our age. And we've had that a couple of times. Now, the cat, check, introspect, and figure out if they're doing it, that's up to them. But that's a major part. The second part of it is, like I said, the trial scouting. How legit is
Mm.
it?
Mm.
Everybody can run a trial for the sake of running trials.
Mm.
I don't know if I mean, you've been in football, and I don't know how or if you've been around the trial, trials and the scouting
Mm.
systems, let's say for the Delhi state team, or
Mm.
let's say for the Haryana state team,
Mm.
or a
Mm.
club, right? They get all of these kids. You've got about 1,000 kids that
Yeah.
show up. In one day, you rack off 800 kids.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you keep them on for the next 3, 4 days, and then you reduce it to 40 kids. In three
Mm.
days, you've gone from 1,000 to 40 kids.
Mm.
So there's no limit on, you're like, anybody wants to come.
Yeah.
So there's no limit on how many people can show up for a trial. And so now you're dashing the, hopes of
Yeah.
1,000 kids. Now, once these kids get selected, they are like, okay, in the next 40 days, we're going to call you for the next 40-day camp. And
Mm.
I'm giving you these like, instances only because we've had that experience. And
Yeah.
we've, at least 8, 9 of our kids who've gone for trials come back. Hey, coach, I got selected. They're going to send me an email in the next 15, 20 days and all of that. And then 1 month later, coach, did you hear anything? I said, no, camp's over. And they're like, but they were supposed to email us. I said, I had no answer.
Mm.
That's the worst part. And
Yeah.
so teams are pre-selected.
Yeah.
You're doing trials in scouting and camps for the face of it because you
Yeah.
got to show the association that you are doing it.
Mm.
So now once you get to that point, now it's about working and getting the spirit of the kids back up. Now that's for kids who've gone for trials, who
Mm.
got selected and then did not get called back for the next round, even though they were promised that they were going to. Now, I've had kids who've been selected to represent their state
Mm.
and then traveled with the team.
Mm.
And then 1, 2 day before the tournament, they've been asked to go back because
Yeah.
they got a call from the higher up saying, hey, this player's going
Mm.
to fly down, give him the spot, so and so.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now you're like, what do you do? Because you've got no answer again. And so you're trying to fight against the system. So
Right.
so you've got no answer. So for me, with the Indian circuit of football and all of this, I really have no answer to it because I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
I know people in high ups, I know club owners and all of that, and yet still you never get a very direct answer in terms of how or what can it be. So so those are the obstacles. And then coming down to the last part is systematic year-round football league. I'm not talking about tournaments. I'm not talking about, oh, we got to do this because we got systematic tournaments. Week in, week out, just having great tournament that kids are looking forward to,
Quality
right?
games. Yeah.
Yes, quality games, quality refereeing,
Yeah.
quality management.
Yeah.
For the first
Unbiased.
time in, yeah, so for the first time in my academy's history, we decided to take part in the state league here, and I'm not going to mention it. And um, we said, okay, we'll go. And we had the organization was sort of okay.
Mm.
It wasn't that bad.
Mm.
But the people they had in charge of management had no clue what to do.
Mm.
They would give us something else. On the pitch, it was something else. The referees were all the newcomers,
Mm.
who were just registered in to become part of the registry
Mm.
referee organization, and they had no senior, head of operations.
Mm.
And my kids halfway through were like, Coach, what are we doing here? Now, you also have to realize we live in a city where the weather conditions are extremes.
Yeah.
So you
True.
do not give a consideration to the, weather or the conditions of the kids or the weather. So
Right.
your matches are being arranged between 10 to 4.
Mm.
And 10 to 4, 10 in the morning to
Not
4 is
ideal
when it's at its peak,
condition. Yeah.
right? So um, so when you have such, uh,
Yeah.
organization where you're not considering these small aspects, right?
Right.
How do you got kids who are about to faint, you got 12, you got 11, under 13s, 11, 12, 12-year
Yeah.
olds. You're asking them to play in a 45-degree heat
Yeah.
at 10, 11, 12, 1, 2 during the day. How do you get these kids to continue to play with that level of intensity?
Right.
Yes, someone's going to win. Yes, one of the team is going to win. Yes, someone's going to score. But I can assure you, you ask every single one of those teams, hey, once they finish the, and you're going to have kids with next day recover. They need 2, 3 days to recover, and now you've got another match in the next 2 days. So where do you train? And you're worried about their health.
Yeah.
Parents are worried about their health. So all of these things. And so I think these are the four major things that I wish I had answers to, and I wish I can kind of understand it. But
Right.
yeah, this is the thing. So age fraud is something that India needs to address majorly. But
Right.
I think it also comes down to us as academy sort of, saying that, you know what, we are going to stop.
Hmm.
We're not going to do this.
Right.
And that's only going to happen if we decide to. And I think that's more of a we answer rather than an organization
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah.
But scouting systems, yes, I think it's high time that people really, really set up proper stuff rather than
Hmm.
just call people, do the thing, already have a team in place, and then you're expecting people to turn up. And leagues that are just organized, that are for the kids, not the organization. Do it for the kids. When you do it for the kids, there'll be heart into it, they'll thought into it. And so now running 12 p.m. matches, instead kids will, parents, kids, coaches, academies, we'll play from 5 to 10 in the night, but
Right.
give us that opportunity.
Right.
And you'll have brilliant matches. You'll
Yeah.
have competitive games because the
Yeah.
weather is nice, people are there.
Yeah.
But have some heart and have some thought into it.
Yeah.
And that's what we are missing right now.
Yeah. I think brilliantly said. Very few people dare to say that, and very few people accept these problems, understand these problems, and focuses and says quite openly. And thank you very much for sharing these thoughts openly. I'm not sure if things are going to change, at least in the northern part. Maybe in southern part things are changing. Maybe in northeast it's changing. For northern part, it will take some time. The thought process to come, that system to come, that heart to come. That will take time. But however, it's a good acknowledgement, and I hope I just can hope that people can learn and maybe uh, bring some changes on the personal front, not running for the money and all that accolades or rewards that they uh, claim on the social media or all the stuff. So, anyways, these are just some challenges, and thanks for sharing those. Moving forward, I want to understand your vision for the next 5 years about your personal. I'm not asking about the system. I'm not asking about the Indian football or anything, but just your focus at the Tribal Football Foundation. Do you have some numbers or do you have a particular vision? Okay, for the next 5 years, we are going to do this, and we have certain parameters set for ourselves.
Yeah, so just a quick brief about the foundation, and this will be easier for me to answer
Yeah,
that question you asked me. See, the one of the things, the reason why we set the foundation is it's not about just the football. We're using football as
yeah,
the foundation to get these kids out of. See, the kids that we have in the foundation are families who are kids whose parents sell vegetables, who are
yeah,
house helps,
yeah.
um, drivers, daily
Very
laborers.
challenging
Right?
backgrounds, basically.
Yes. And so for me, the idea was, can we use football to get their attention
Yeah.
and then set up blocks behind it where we're able to sort of help them with skill development?
Hmm.
The idea is to cut the cycle of poverty
Hmm.
and help the kids once they get above the age of 18,
Yeah.
get them to internships, get them into, because below that, I'm very, very, this thing about kids working before 18. And so we try to make sure, and the kids who are with us, we are trying to see if they go to school. We have a couple of kids who don't, and we are kind of figuring out how we can kind
Hmm.
of get them education, even though that's not part of what we do, but
Hmm.
we still want to see what we can do. But
Hmm.
my goal in the next 5 years for the foundation is that so right now we've got a 15, 17 team that we've set up. Um, and these kids will go to the next age. So our 13s became 15. So this year they're 15s and then 17s. So the 17s in the next year or two are going to become 18, 19.
Yeah.
So we have a U20 team which they'll be part of.
Mm.
But like I said, football is the platform.
Yeah.
What we are trying to set up is talk to industry experts, talk to companies, talk
Mm.
to, let's say, cafes,
Yeah.
baristas, and set up a pipeline where
Mm.
we are able to get these kids into 3 month, 6 month internship programs.
Right.
Now, this is what we're raising the money for. This is what
Mm.
we're waiting for our ATG for, is to go to corporates and say, this is what we want to do. And once we're able to get them into the skill development environments, teach them the skills of whatever, they could be a barista, they could be, and I am hoping that we are able to sort of talk to tech companies
Yeah.
and corporate finances and see if, these kids can kind of go there and
Mm.
intern while they study, because some of these kids are going to go to college
Yeah.
and that's not what we want to do. And here to be, to walk them into college and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. We are here to sort of support them
Mm.
and figure out all the people that we need to connect with to, help them, and the documentation, and help them and say, okay, this is what they need for college. But I hope that we're able to work with different, industries
Yeah.
and say, we want to get these kids into, skill development. And
Right.
my hope and vision in the next 5 years is that we're able to, at least, even if we're able to target 15, 20 kids that are earning money,
Yeah. They are
and that would
sustainable.
be,
Yeah.
yeah, and they're bringing something back to their parents, something back um, for themselves. They've learned a skill, and now they can go and use that skill, and we'll teach them how to market themselves. We are going to teach them. We're not just, once they get the job, it's not like, oh, we're done. We're our job's over.
Yeah.
We're not doing that. So as the situation goes, and what we want to be able to do, market themselves, teach them how to grow the skill, teach
Yeah.
them how to continue to earn, and see how they can continue
Right.
to you know take the next step. So my hope is that, and on the football side of things, now you have to realize whether you are somebody capable of paying for your classes, or you're um, from an underprivileged background.
Yeah.
Not everybody is guaranteed to become pro,
Right.
right?
Right.
But on the football side of it, we are setting up different networks and connections to say, okay, if we are able to sort of give these kids, you know, direct trials with clubs rather than go to a,
1,000 people trial.
scouting a herd. Yeah. So we don't want to do that. We want to see, and that's why, like, so this time, the Delhi League, what we are doing is we've got 3 teams participating. We're
Mm.
hiring a company to come and record all of the matches. So we
Mm.
have, their profiles, they've got match videos, which is something
Mm.
their parents, I want their parents to be able to engage with them and say, oh,
Mm.
my kid is going to, now I can watch his match,
Mm.
on the phone. So
Right.
that's what we want to do. So we're hiring a company to go and record all of their games. Now that's for 3 things. One, they can take it back to their parents. Two, the
Yeah.
kids are going to be overjoyed that they get to watch their game, on YouTube for the rest of their life. And the third thing is, for us as an organization, we'll have their data
Yeah.
and then be able to send it to different clubs and say, hey,
Right.
we've got this player and we are willing to, sponsor his travel. We are willing to sponsor his stay, but would you be willing to give him a 1 week trial?
Right.
We're not asking for favors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Check him on his ability. Is he
Yeah.
somebody that fits your organization? Can you do this? That's what we want to be able to do.
I think.
And that's the football side. And like I said, on the skill side, in the next 5 years, I hope we are able to help 20, 25 kids find a job and find a means to earn money and help them out of that poverty cycle.
Yeah.
And it's brick by brick. We're
Yeah.
not saying we need to earn a lakh or this and that. No,
Yeah.
let's start with 15,000. Let's start with
Yeah.
20,000. They're adding into the, pot, the financial pot of their family. And we'll go from there. Let's see what we can do. And with that, the other thing that is very close to my heart, but also is something that is very, very needed in society, is we're going to get counselors to come in and sort of talk to these kids and help them. and kind of teach them what it means to get out of. I'm sure you would know this because you travel a lot. See, poverty is not just the condition, the
Mm,
physical
true.
condition. It's
Yeah.
also the mental condition of, um, the hereditary condition of just the
Unable
families.
to think beyond the
Exactly. We
circumstances.
want to, so there's two things we want to get counselors to come talk to them with life skills, how to communicate,
Yeah.
all of those things, not just psychological, counseling. No, we want lives. We want them to, be able to read, which is something we're doing. We're building a life where they can take a book and read for a month, give
Yeah.
and take the book. We're doing that as well. But, and then I want to get industry experts, let's
Mm.
say someone like you, to come and talk to the kids and say, hey, I'm doing this, this is what I'm into. So they have something, and they have something to look up and be like, I want to be like Siddharth because this is what he's doing. And or I want to be like this corporate, MD, or this, corporate team leader because he's doing this. Now we're expanding their horizons of what they can or what they want to do. And so I'm sure that is going to bring out things we are not able to see about them just yet.
Right.
That could be someone's computer skills might be off the charts. Then
Yeah.
we're just going to make sure that he has the access to a computer to learn
Mhm.
coding or whatever it is. That's the goal for the next 5 years, and see where can we do that. And honestly, for me, if we are able to start with 5 kids, I'll take that as a win.
I think
But I wanted to start somewhere.
I think
So
that's in corporate terms it's called SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, relatable, and I think T is for time bound. So the vision that you shared for your NGO, for your foundation is covers all those topics, and it's so realistic. And I just wish that all of these uh, goals that you have set for yourself, the benchmark that you set for yourself, for your foundation, for your kids, give inspiration to more and more people within this country, because I think this country specifically, not just in sports, but in other areas, they need to learn. And you are one of the inspiration. Your work is one of the inspiration for them. So, Milan, thank you very much for sharing your thought, sharing your journey, sharing your work to us. And we can just hope that things will evolve, things will change, whether in football, in sports, or in livelihood for these kids and the other kids. So I can just thank you for your time and your nice words and insights.
no, thank you so much for this, Siddharth, because I think, um, like we both discussed before this, not really the kind of,
Yeah,
people that want to be in the front. I just love being in the background, nobody knowing. But yes, to sell the program to
yeah,
people that are listening, if you have the heart to sort of,
yeah.
donate or sponsor, um, if it's okay for me to say it here,
Yes, of
uh,
course.
we are looking for some financial donation right now for the next 3, 4 months because we've got our kids going
Yeah,
in. For their participation fees, we want to get nutrition on game days. We want to get them, new jersey kits, and also just getting the company to come record the matches is costing us money,
yeah.
but we're still going to do it. And so, if you listen to this and you want to reach out to us and want to donate something or know somebody, please reach out to us. But thank you for this platform because I think this is needed. We do a lot of podcasts with people who are in the echelons of society, and the fact that you're doing it with people like me who are in the, grassroots, at the bottom of this and trying to learn what the struggles of what we are doing, it's amazing. And I think this is what's going to go a long way. And for all my fellow academy owners or club owners and stuff, I think it's, if we are willing to come together as a community, communities, yes, the kids we have, the families we have, but we're also part of another community that's owners of clubs or academies. And I think if we're able to sort of come together and
Yeah.
put a stop to different things, I think we can do it. And
Yes.
but we have to be willing to do it. And so
Yes.
it's not a competition. And
It's a
um,
collaborative effort rather than a
exactly.
competition.
And respecting each other and what
Yeah.
they're able to sort of do. But yes, thank you so much for, starting something like this at the ground level. And it's amazing. So, and then hopefully maybe someday one of our kids would be,
Yes.
here having and it happens. So,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Siddharth.
Thank you. Thank you, Minlun, and see you soon, very soon.
Absolutely. Please come by. We've got a league starting, and then come meet our kids. Mid or end of August, we start the league. So please do come meet them. It'll be amazing. So, yeah.
All right. Thank
So
you.
thank you so much for that. See you.
See you.